This is section 3.5, day 1, and today we're going to practice writing equations of lines. So we spent a couple of days talking about slope and analyzing that, looking at that, and now we're going to use slope in order to write some equations. So slope-intercept form is probably the one you remember. This is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And then x and y are just your variables that you have to have as a part of the equation. The other form that we're going to use is called point-slope form. So it actually has a point, like an x and a y, and it has a slope. So this one will look like this. So the x1, y1, that's our point. That's where the point goes. And then our m is still our slope. And this x and this y are your variables, kind of like that y and that x. So first one says, can you write an equation for the line in slope-intercept form? So we're going to practice that one time. So y equals mx plus b. That means I'm looking for a slope and a y-intercept. So slope I can actually compute. I've got a point here, 0, 4, and then another one, 3, negative 2. So I'm just going to go x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to do negative 2 minus 4, and then 3 minus 0. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. 3 minus 0 is 3. And always reducing, so this is negative 2 over 1. So that's my slope. You could have also just counted, like you have a graph. So reading from left to right, just to go from that point to that point, I would have gone down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then across 1, 2, 3. So same thing, and then I could have just reduced. So you can count if you've got actual grid lines, or you can always resort to slope formula. It will help you find slope. And then y-intercept, that's where you cross the y-axis. Excuse me. And this line crosses the y-axis right there at 4. Make sure you use the y value, not the x value. So our equation is y equals negative 2 over 1x plus 4. You don't really need the over 1. That's kind of why I wrote it down below there. So you could just write negative 2x plus 4. Next up, we've got write an equation for a line that passes through. Here's a point, an x1 and a y1, and has a slope of 3. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it, and then you can kind of decide which one you like the best. The first one I'm going to use is actually the point-slope form. Since we have a point and a slope, it fits this one pretty nicely. So I'm going to do y minus, and then the y value, which is a negative 2, so watch your double negative, slope of 3, and then x minus, and our x value is 6. And now my job is just to simplify, distribute until I've got it in a y equals form. So we're going to plus that. So I've got y plus 2. On this side I'm going to distribute, so I've got 3x and then minus 18. And our last job is just to minus the 2 over. So we've got y equals 3x minus 20. Pretty slick, works pretty nice. To use the slope-intercept form to do the same problem, I'm going to set up just y equals mx plus b, just with some blanks so I know what I have to put in. Slope has to be a 3, that was given to me. And now I'm going to use my point and I'm going to plug it in for x and y to find my b. So I would do negative 2 equals, slope is 3, my x value is 6, and I don't know b, that's what we're going to find. So negative 2 equals 18 plus b, and when I minus that 18 over, that's where I get that negative 20 to put right there. So whichever one of those ways you find to be a little more easy for you or easier to remember how to do anyway, go ahead and pick. So if you like the point-slope form, plug in your point and your slope and then just simplify, or slope-intercept form where you plug in your slope and your point and find your new b. Two more to go. The first one says write an equation of a line that passes through. Here's another point. And here's my slope. And again, I'll do them both ways just so you can decide which one is your favorite. So point-slope form, so y minus 4, and then slope of negative 3, and x minus 5. And we're just going to do some simplifying. So y minus 4 equals negative 3x plus 15, so I just distributed. We're going to add that 4 to the other side, and looks like I have y equals negative 3x plus 19. I'm going to set up for the same thing over here, blank x plus blank. Slope is negative 3, so that's going in. And then I'm going to plug my point in right where that x and y are. So 4 equals negative 3, 5 plus b, negative 15 plus b. And when you add your 15 to both sides, that's where you get the 19. One more. This one gives us actually 2 points to start, which is kind of crummy because before we can do anything, we need to know slope. So that means we have to do slope first. So I'm going to do 10 minus negative 2, and then I'm going to do 2 minus 5. So 10 minus negative 2 ends up to be 12. 2 minus 5 ends up to be negative 3. Make sure that you reduce, so this would be negative 4 over 1. So I'll do point slope form first, so y minus. And now you've got options. You can pick either point, but whichever one you do pick, make sure that you cover up the other one because you can't use any numbers from that one. So I'll just use the 5 and negative 2. So this is y minus negative 2. We know our slope is negative 4 now, and then x minus 5. So y plus 2, negative 4x plus 20, and then we'll minus our 2 to both sides, so we have negative 4x plus 18. On the other side, we would do y equals mx plus b. I'm going to put my m in there, which is negative 4. You can pick either point. I'm actually going to pick the other one this time so we can see that it turns out to be the same. So my 10 goes in for y, and then negative 4 times 2, plus our b that we have to find. So 10 equals negative 8 plus b. Add the 8 over, and as soon as you do that, you get the 18. So it does not matter which point you pick when you're doing either form. Just watch those double negatives. They'll get you.